Hello and welcome to Raw Impact Africa, the program designed to empower the African youth through knowledge. We shoot short films on fundamental issues of life and bring seasoned guests to analyze these issues as they affect our day-to-day life. Today, we will be talking about rape. Rape is one of the biggest challenges that is faced globally right now. And today at Raw Impact Africa, we will be analyzing rape and the issues surrounding rape. And we've watched a movie, Ambush, which is on the issue of rape. Welcome to the show, ma.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so the audience would like to know you.
DORATHY NJEMANZE, that's me. Unapologetic Nigerian woman, filmmaker, actress, stunt driver. What am I again? Member of the Bring Back Our Girls campaign. That's the most important thing I've done in my life. Yes.
Anyway, today we're not here to talk about Bring Back Our Girls. Today we're here to talk about rape. So now, we just finished watching a movie on rape. Now, from your own perspective, ma, what is rape?
Rape. Let me give you a history so that you appreciate my definition.
Okay.
Before now, well, pretty much rape is sexual activity without consent. That's
Okay.
what rape is. And before now, proof of rape used to be, did you shout? Is your dress torn? Is who is the witness? All those kind of things. But now you see, with working documents like the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, which is currently justiciable in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, especially in the FCT. It's now law in Nigeria, but it's currently justiciable only in the FCT. A proper, up-to-date definition of rape is penetration of any part of the body without the consent of, the owner of the body. So I come and, penetrate your ears or whatever with a sexual organ or any other object. So before, rape was seen to be penetration only with a penis. No. It could be a hand, it could be tongue, it could be stick, it could be cucumber, toe, walking stick, carrot, candle, whatever it is. But there must be consent, of the owner of the body. So the primary things are children, minors, anybody below 18 cannot consent to sexual activity. Then, with the issue of consent, if you do not consent, it's rape. There's no go call me inside the matter. Once there's no consent, it's rape.
So the word there is consent.
Yes, that's the defining factor.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So if now, is there really any difference between sexual violence and rape? Because from what you're making us to understand now, rape is any penetration that is done without the person's consent.
Rape is sexual violence.
Okay, rape is sexual violence.
Yes, rape is one of the types of sexual violence.
Okay.
You're walking in the market and everything, somebody spanks your buttocks just to tell you that he sells slippers and shoes. That's sexual violence. You don't come to my behind without my invitation, and all of that. There's all sorts of sexual violence, but rape is a type of sexual violence.
Okay.
Yes, it's broad-based. Rape is just one type of sexual violence.
All right. Well, we now know the definition of rape. Any penetration of any part of the human body.
It could be your ears,
your ear, the mouth, the nose, the anus, the
vagina, with a sexual organ or any other object without the consent of the owner of the body. Rape has happened.
Oh, that was a very deep one. All right, now, what are the causes of rape?
Causes?
Yeah.
Rapists are the causes of rape. Serious. There are a lot of fallacious ideologies about things like indecent dressing or background or one thing or the other being causes of rape. No. For people who say indecent dressing is a cause of rape, I dare tell you that, you see, especially the men, mad schizophrenic women, those the mad women on the road without normally move about naked, they should be hidden from you because you are a threat to them. It means that, you see, once I see your nakedness, as long as you have not invited me, as long as there's no consent for you to do anything, there's a violation. I see, or maybe while my hand is on you like this, you decide to get naked. As long as you have not said go further, there's a violation. You understand? Causes of rape. Pretty much, a lot of people don't respect. Patriarchy is a major issue that is linked to the prevalence of rape in places like Nigeria, because there are so many things designed to subdue the woman, to make her a second-class citizen and all of that. And one of it is you shouldn't initiate sexual activity. You should be happy for whatever comes your way. You should be the decent one and everything. And so we have situations where we just train the girls to be very decent and nice and grow up very right. But we tell the boys, keep growing, be a man, be strong. But the girls, be subtle, clean the place, this and that. So you see, these boys are growing, no basic emotions, no tuning to reality, and then the hope is that you grow and you meet a woman who has all the virtues and she will balance your what I call it, pack of bad manners and everything. So we tend to be growing more people to behave like animals as per boys. No respect, no regards. It's just you're a woman, so anything I say you should do. You should be happy this happened. If anything happens, who will believe you? I'm the man. Everybody will feel maybe you wanted something from me and I didn't give you, and all those kind of stuff, So primary causes of rape, patriarchy has its role to play, and rapists are the causes of rape, not indecent dressing.
Yeah. Yeah, I was actually coming to that, because the way we if they ask anybody now, I was raped, the first question that comes to the person's mind is, what were you wearing? I'm sure you went to seduce him. I'll ask you not to be wearing skimpy things because you'll be raped. So that's, to me, I used to feel it's indecent dressing. If you come to my place dressed the way you are right now, I might not be moved to do anything with you. But the reverse is the case. If you're wearing a very hot short miniskirt, that's what some men out there are thinking.
And when you are moved to do with me, am I moved to receive you? Yes, there's a clear difference between rape and sex. Sex is that one that I agreed for. Rape is the one that you're imposing on me.
I'm saying now, what will give me the drive
the
or the
issue of
urge?
The indecent dressing, that you mentioned. I'll give you a clear example. I'm a rape survivor. The first time I was raped, I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And that was a neighbor's houseboy and his 3 friends.
No. Sorry.
So now indecent dressing.
No. Let's go back. Did you just say 8 years?
Yes, 8 years old.
So
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
What was in the mind of the guy who took that kind of act on you? Well, 8 years old.
I don't care what is in anybody's mind. Children cannot consent to sexual activity, and there must be consent. And a lot of times, many people who rape prey on innocence. Many people who rape, most of the time, are known to the victim and are allowed to come close for one reason or the other, and then they capitalize or they betray the trust, they betray trust of the victims, and then you capitalize on innocence, because out of innocence, he's my uncle, he's my father, he's my brother, he's my teacher and everything. Out of innocence, you don't take any special measures to keep the person away, and the next thing there's a lot of rape. Now for me, many times a lot of people say, at least it was not rape, so you should not take STEM measures, or you should not do this and that. So laws like the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, we have an opportunity now to come down full on rapists and the rest. But if we isolate rape from sexual violence, remember I told you rape is just one of the sexual violence. It means that you are saying that it is okay for your daughter of 8 years or so to go to school, and one teacher will corner in the office, in the store, and be pressing your daughter's breast, in the store. Remember, she's 8 years old. If it's only rape that counts, it means that you are giving a pass to somebody to say, that 3-year-old girl, I was only inspecting her vagina to see if it is the same with my wife's own. These are the kind of things we hear. There's a lot, we hear along that line. So primarily, how is rape handled in Nigeria? I'm not happy with it. And victim support is a very important thing. A lot of people first of all need to understand what it is, and then need to know what to do when there's a situation of rape, and how idiosyncrasies at times promotes the rape culture.
Wow. Anyway, you just told us here on TV that you were raped at the age of 8.
The first time.
And the first time, which means there were other subsequent times.
112.
Wow, that's touching. All right, Raw Impact Africa is going to return, where we are going to know how you were able to still go on with your life even after the incidences of rape. Because I tell you, a lot of people out there were raped and they could not do anything with their life again. They became frustrated. Some even went as far as killing themselves. I've heard incidences where some people killed themselves, some people locked themselves up. Some people did a lot of things to themselves just because we were raped. But you were raped, but you're still out here doing so much for the society and for yourself. Raw Impact Africa will return, and we're going to hear more from Dorothy NjEMANZE. Once again, go nowhere. We'll be right back. If you're just joining us, this is Raw Impact Africa, the program designed to empower the African youth through knowledge. We shoot short films on fundamental life issues and get seasoned guests to analyze these issues. And today, we've been talking about rape, which is a global challenge. Now, before we went on the break, my guest here, Dorothy NjEMANZE, said she was raped first at the age of 8, and she had other challenges of rape, but she was still able to move on with her life, and today she's doing something meaningful for the society. Now, the question we have for her is, Madam, how were you able to come out from the rape trauma and become what you are right now?
Okay, now because of the way you asked the question, I'm led to particularly point out the fact that, like, now I can rape you.
What?
Yes.
Hello, please.
Men can rape women. Women can rape men. Women can rape small boys. There can also be rape amongst minors. Women can rape women. Men can rape men. Anybody that has a hole anywhere that is penetrated without the person's consent is raped. So, all the holes.
Madam, please, can we go back to the question? How were you able?
It's important for that to be known. But why, when there's the issue of rape, a lot of times it tends towards the feminine folk, is because there's a higher prevalence of rape, by the males, the females. That's important to note. Then how did I get over it? Well, at 8 years old, I started by showing my finger. I had this accident when I was 4 years old, and everybody started calling me Ben Finger. Called me 9.5 fingers and all of that. So, fast forward 8 years old, there was a rape incident. I didn't trust anybody enough to talk about it. I kept it to myself. The Lord helped me through. That's all I can say. And then down the line, watching Oprah Winfrey's program was my only source of therapy. Yeah. And that's why now I live my life trying to amplify real life situations, so that we all learn from other people's real life experiences, pretty much that. And of course, one of my role models back in the days, Auntie Tokumba Ajayi of NTA, after I heard that she couldn't take everything that came with the rape she encountered and everything, and eventually ended up, dead and all of it. I said, no, issue of victim support is important. I happen to be there. Depression is something I battle, constantly. And unfortunately, we don't have a friendly society that encourages us. Trauma is very, very downplayed. So when you come up with things and, give the telltales or signs of depression and everything, people try to make you feel like, look, it's a mental condition and the rest, and you will not get political office and the rest. Look, you can't avoid it. You can't run away from it. There's executive stress, there are all kinds of stress, but you see, it eats you very much within when you keeping quiet. I mean, the issue of keeping quiet for me culminated, at some point to me having a nervous breakdown in 2004. Many people have those issues and don't survive. But for people like me that survive, I'm going to continue talking. I believe that God has left me alive for a reason, and I will continue talking and talking to help people, to know that certain things are not okay and the rest. And then when all these things happen, somebody is raped. Next thing you say, oh, this is Dorothy, that girl that was raped last month. You see, you are one of the people helping to promote that thing called stigma. And this is one of the strong reasons why many people don't talk out. A lot of people do not want to be condemned. I mean, something bad has already happened. You don't want to, further condemnation and all of that. So, it should be more like, this is Ima that raped so and so that time.
Not my Ima anywhere. She's just generalizing Ima because Ima here doesn't rape.
So we need to get to the point of shaming the rapists. So many times you say things like want to protect the identity of the victim and all those kind of things. You say I hear things like, when the child grows, we want her to marry. Excuse you? If she doesn't get over it, she's going to frustrate the person who she's going to marry.
Yeah, well,
that's the truth. There's all sorts of fallacious ideologies people come up. In fact, on an occasion, I was interviewed by a media house, and by the time the interview was aired, even my phone numbers that are not in public domain were located, and people would call me and say, you are a broken vessel not fit for use again. That it's better for somebody to have married a prostitute than to marry you. You are not ashamed of yourself, talking about being, excuse me. Yes, I've been raped. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, not 4 times, not 6 times, not 10 times, more than. But guess what? The negative things that happen to me do not define me. I define myself. Yeah. I choose to live above, the nasty experiences. And I want to look the people that did this rubbish in the face and make sure that they are put in the right place. When these things happen to you and you don't speak up, what are you doing? You are giving breathing room for the rapists to continue raping. I remember saying when bad thing happened to you, they send you email a few days ahead to say, look, I feel locate you, that kind of thing. So it means that each time you keep quiet, all the children in the neighborhood where these rapists live, they are in trouble. All the women in the neighborhood where this person live, they are in trouble. In fact, the person, all the hoes, yeah. In fact, the person may end up raping you. Because you ended up keeping quiet. Yeah. So as much as possible, it is a matter of community social responsibility for us to ensure we expose every rapist. And then the government owes a lot. See, there's certain basics that we cannot negotiate when it comes to victim support. Yeah. And then the government owes a lot, by way of victim support to the victims. Let's start from the Ministry of Health. When people are raped, there are certain basics called post-exposure prophylaxis. These are medications administered to ensure that victims do not get infections, including HIV and AIDS. In case Ima rapes Dorothy and he has HIV, and the medication is administered on me within 72 hours, it means that I would not contact any of the diseases he has. Yeah. But our hospitals do not have these things. Rape kits. When something happens to me and everything, I present myself with a rape kit. You could get his pubic hair, his sweat and everything. And when you have it, you have the evidence of the person who violated me. Then when I say this is the person, you can test him. And once there's a match, you say yes, confirmed. No go to registration here, prison and the rest of it. But you see, the systems we have, the justice systems we have, do not favor victims. That's the medical aspect. Of course, we need a whole lot more rape kits. Counseling, a lot that exists by way of counseling is more injurious to us because we don't have defined specific, specialized counseling available to people at the masses, to the masses. You have a lot of religious houses coming up with all sorts of things, that are unfounded. And a lot of times you hear, well, it's the will of God. If God did not allow it to happen, it will not come to you and all those kind of things. So we need a whole lot. Counseling needs to be like a next door thing. You should be able to get good counseling, not just counseling, because there's all sorts of counseling. And then beyond all of these, well, when somebody is raped, you finish giving the person all of that, the legal systems. Yeah. Especially with children, a challenge we normally have, especially with children, is that as they grow, they forget details. And when a matter is tried, right from the child is 3 years old and the matter is in court for 5 years, but by the time the child is 8 years old, unless you recorded it somewhere, you know, it means that you want to torture this child continually to remember the details. So as much as possible, within the shortest possible time, victims need closure. So we're advocating that within a maximum of 3 months, rape-related cases should be tried.
Wow, awesome. All right. Well, if you're just joining us, this is Raw Impact Africa, and today DORATHY NJEMANZE here has been exposing so much on the issue of rape. Now, something that caught my fancy that she said is that what helped her to move on was watching the famous American TV host Oprah Winfrey. You see, why I'm bringing that back is that what you can do can actually change a generation out there. You have what it takes to change a whole country. You have what it takes to change an individual's perspective or perception about a thing. So go out there and see what you are good at. I remember Oprah Winfrey. I read her biography and I knew she had some challenges. She suffered so much, but that woman has actually changed the whole world with her craft.
That's
with
the
her.
richest black woman
Yeah,
now.
she is. So don't just sit down there and lament from morning till night, from year in, year out. My parents never sent me to school. I am disadvantaged. There's something we call in Nigeria educational disadvantage state. We look for excuses for virtually everything. I was raped, so because of that, I can't move on with my life. Please, you have to move on with your life. Dorothy here had some challenges, but she moved on just like every other person is moving on. Another fundamental thing she said, I want to draw back to your attention, is the fact that we should channel our attentions to the rapist, not to the raped. The attention we have in Nigeria is that is the girl who was raped. We don't ask who raped her or who raped him. So the attention now should change. That guy moving down there is a rapist. Exactly. He raped XYZ person. By the time they begin to call you a rapist, you go to church, they stigmatize you a rapist. You go to meetings, they stigmatize you a rapist. Everywhere they call you rapist.
There should be a rape sexual offenders register. You can't teach in schools.
Well, the thing is, the stigmatization should turn this time around. It shouldn't
stigmatization. It's what it deserves. Rapist.
So for you out there, be you a guy or a lady who goes around raping people, you have to stop it, because there's actually a law against you and the law is coming on you. All right, this is Raw Impact Africa, and Dorothy, please, it's been an exciting moment. What's your final word for your people out there?
Well, your action today is your karma tomorrow. You do good today, the benefits abound. You do bad today, your tomorrow will tell you the end product. Well, potential people with disabilities, you treat people with disabilities wrong. Guess what? You miss it today, definitely. Old age is coming. Walking stick will show, or you are pregnant or something, and you will need the same facilities for them. So, don't do to anybody what you would not accept, what you cannot take. You know, don't ever do to anybody else what you would not take. You know, that's pretty much it.
Wow, that is how far we can go on the show today, Raw Impact Africa. And today we've been talking about rape, and DORATHY NJEMANZE has really exposed us to so many things: marital rape, child rape, man, woman rape, and everything rape. And in the nutshell, rape is evil, rape is illegal, rape is a crime. Rape is any name that is negative, attach it to rape. It's only meant for animals. I mean, if you're out there raping a girl,
it's not meant for animals. Animals even seek consent.
Animals seek consent. Wow.
Yes.
We actually, in fact, we should not be lesser than animals. If you rape anybody, you are actually lesser than an animal. Once again, this has been Raw Impact Africa. I'm going to be with you next week. From me and her to you all there, we say bye-bye. Till next week. Thank you very much.
Bye.